page load.
All right. Jeff Carroll, Sci-Fi Express Lane. Remember, like, share, subscribe, man. Give me some subscriptions, you know. It's a black brother trying to talk about science fiction. So I need, you know, as many likes and subscribes as I can get. And then also, I love to dialogue, so hit me in the comments. This is Jeff Carroll, Sci-Fi Express Lane. Today I'm talking about The Last of Us, The Walking Dead, World War Z, and even The Maze Runner. I see similarities and graduations in all of that. For me, I've always loved Night of the Living Dead. I loved Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. All those was beautiful. Beautiful, nice elements. But when they did Dawn of the Dead remake with Vin Rames and Mekhi Phifer, that just took it to the next level. When the little girl got up and ran, it was ridiculous. Of course, I like 28 Days Later. You know, some of my other zombie greats are Quarantine, The Crazies. Of course, I liked World War Z. Probably one of the second or third best science fiction book that I've read was World War Z, just because of the scope and how they did it. Of course, I like Train to Busan, and I didn't mind All of Us Are Dead, right? The Korean flick, you know. I liked what is his name? Will Smith's version of Omega Man and I Am Legend. Those were all cool, right? Because they were zombies. But you know, when you watch all of the different versions of it, they had the talking zombies in one, and zombies have really taken a lot. You know, in Serenity, they called them Reavers. You know, and I just like the basic. And when I think of The Last of Us, I think of, you know, them watching The Walking Dead. And I think what Walking Dead did was so good was they didn't try to reinvent the wheel or be too unique, right? And they played in the middle of what we had seen in Dawn of the Dead, and just played out the zombie apocalypse scenario. And they did a really good job of it. However, I think what happened with Walking Dead for me was, you know, zombies can't talk, and a certain amount of zombie dilemmas that you're going to be able to be placed in. And doing a zombie television show was a Herculean task, and they proved it can be done. But they may have killed it to the point where, you know, nothing else can be done, because they had to go through practically every minute scenario. The problem is, you know, to get the show, to get episodes out. However, you know, I felt that they ran out because I felt that they were, they could have, what do you call it? They could have, I think they overplayed the human dystopian energy, right? I mean, at some point, you put too much dystopian energy into stuff, you become cynical. You know, you're not optimistic anymore. I mean, it's okay for you to have a couple of heroes in a world that's crumbling, you know, in a dystopian world. But, you know, the goal for those heroes is to either escape that or bring the energy of what's causing it to be dystopian, to bring it to an end. And in Walking Dead, they did, you know, every environment was one dystopian environment after another. And for me, when they didn't kill, and spoiler, but you should know this, it's been on 10 seasons, right? I think it was around 5, 6. They didn't kill Negan, right? It, to me, science signaled that they were accepting the, dystopian energy. You know, it's like they had given up hope that, humans who have become a bigger threat than the zombies were the problem. And I always say, like when I was in the quarantine, I write a post-apocalyptic series, The Harlem Shake. It's got zombies in it. It's really cool. But, when I put that together, I played out, how realistic is a dystopian environment in a post-apocalyptic world. And living here in South Florida with a lot of people from the Caribbean who experience hurricanes and stuff like that, even volcano eruptions, earthquakes, listening to their stories and witnessing, post-hurricane environments firsthand, we will they sort of bring out the humanity in people. So to argue that it's going to just be a fight over food and people are going to kill each other, not always is that the case. Are they going to institute some totalitarian environment? Don't see that. If I do, it's not exclusive, right? So I see a variety of things that may transpire afterwards. And sure, you have to look out for the bad people more than you have to look out for anybody else. But I think, we will learn that lesson. We will put together something. And to keep saying that the good empire falls every season is real cynical, So when I look at Walking Dead, I think that's what happened to it, I think all of us, The Last of Us, takes from Walking Dead. We're only in episode 2, so we can't really go too deep into what it is. But, the video game is out, and my son told me a lot about the video game. And, there's definitely a lot of death, a lot of characters that die in it, but they are on a quest for hope. I think if it continues to do well, I do think they're going to write some original stories and come up with a season 2 or season 3. Either way, I think they're going to go past the video game story. And if that's the case, I don't know how they're writing it, but they would have to, they would have to create some new characters. So, I think when it comes to World War Z, what made World War Z good for me was that, especially with the book, and I read the book before the movie, it gave you a full scope. And I think one of the things, scope of the apocalypse, scope of the problem, right? And I think one of the things that held me back personally from Walking Dead, it felt confining. You was wondering what the heck's going on in the rest of the world. I mean, from that feeling from the first episode, from the first season, I always wondered, and they played on that. It was like, yo, we don't know, and we never found out, right? We knew nothing could be going on because there was never any airplanes, no rescue attempts, all of that. It was just total isolation. But how did it happen, right? So World War Z answered that question. And of course they had superhero jumping everywhere, zombies that never gave out of energy. And that's beside the point. I think they just tried to be too unique with the zombies because they weren't like that in the book. But I think that was cool. And I think The Last of Us added that scope. The scenes where they were in China and other stuff in the second episode, even a little bit in the first episode, it was good. The first episode had the feel of like Maze Runner, and the way they were going through catacombs or hallways reminded me of what they were doing in Maze Runner. Maybe a little bit of the government. I'm gonna throw some Resident Evil in there, right? Not that they made the zombies, but they certainly seem like they know about a little bit more and they're over it. I remember the second 28 Weeks Later movie, they were ready for the zombies. They had suits and they would do it, and it just seemed like it imploded in 28 Weeks Later. So I think All of Us Are Dead is something similar. Another thing that I like about All of Us Are Dead, or another thing I just wanted to mention, a lot of zombie books, specifically Jonathan Mayberry, focus on this patient zero, this patient X, this patient that is immune to the zombie virus. And while I think that's definitely cool, and it may be one in a million, it just seems so coincidental and so lucky that this person falls in the lap of whoever the heroes are of the story. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a variety of patient zeros or patient X's, because it just seems more probable, right? You hear this term white savior, and that's real. It can get annoying because it can become predictable. So I think when you have this patient zero, it almost feels like a white savior. And then you take a story like The Girl with All the Gifts, right? Then it becomes some magic Negro. So you're damned if you do white, you're damned if you do black, and then doing any other ethnicity just seems like, tokenism as well. So I just think, find another way, like they did in World War Z, a cure. He was immune, right? But he wasn't the only, I don't think Brad Pitt was the only one that was immune. He just, found something that was in people that, terminal illness or whatever, that saved them. And that wasn't in the book either. The book was really just the zombie apocalypse and the zombies going crazy. They didn't have a clear path to a solution. However, I do not have a problem with clear path solutions. What's going to solve the crazies? What's going to solve quarantine? That makes those movies even greater when you have that sort of a quest. So I don't know. I think All of Us Are Dead pulls from The Maze Runner. It pulls from Walking Dead, or it improves on The Walking Dead, and it pulls from World War Z. And those are beautiful, Train to Busan, those were just, Dawn of the Dead, different takes. And that's beautiful. I mean, let me throw a little diversity in there. When I wrote my book, Rashida the Zombie Killer, I went a whole different route as well, but it's okay to go different cause, like crazies, like quarantine, like they did in Last of Us. That makes it brilliant. You hit the cause. Now, the thing that we got to keep consistent with zombie stories is the zombies. You got to keep, trying to be too unique with them it takes away, because people want zombies. It's like vampires. It's like werewolves. Fall back. They still silver bullets with werewolves. The moon with werewolves. Blood, vampires. Daylight, vampires. Those are certain things that define the monsters. You change it, now you have something different. Now, I'm glad they got away from all that Egyptian stuff with the zombies. I don't, depends on how they do it with voodoo and Haiti, but even with Haiti and voodoo, it's not going to be contagious. So that contagious element that was in World War Z is ridiculous. That is what makes it, 28 days later, that's what makes it, takes it to the next level. So that's it. I just want to wrap it up with there. If you can, you want to, I made my zombies, I gave a black zombie story. You know what I'm saying? Rashida the Zombie Killer. We don't really have any black zombie stories. So if you get a chance, please check it out. I want to write the sequel, and it's fire. So, and it's a quick read. People read it real fast and they enjoy it. So, but I do, plug myself if I can. But this was really about my reaction to The Last of Us and zombies. All right, peace, y'all.